All right, we're back with another episode of the best t-shirt I ever printed. And today I'm so excited to have Mel Lay, who's the current creative director for Allmade, but she used to own SandiLake Clothing in Portland, Oregon, and she's going to share her story about the favorite t-shirt that she printed. So how are you today, Mel?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, so what are we going to learn about today?
So the favorite t-shirt that I ever printed, and maybe my most iconic, memorable, all of the above t-shirt, is this little tank top right here. And as you can see, it's not an adult size shirt. It did become that at one time, but since it's 2014, I guess so 6 years ago, I started this fun little brand, SandiLake Clothing. And this is one of my original products I kept from there just as memorabilia. But yeah, 6 years ago, I just wanted cooler clothes for my little girls to wear and just wanted to make some monochrome unisex designs. And this is one of the designs that came out of that, this hashtag America design. But what's special about it is when I first started, I just wanted these cool clothes, came up with about 6 designs and decided I should probably make them myself versus, you know, paying the extra money, having somebody else do it. So I came up with this business plan that I could, you know, sell these shirts, make back my money in maybe like a year and just have this fun side job as I was a stay-at-home mom, but then also have cool clothes for my kids and my friends' kids. And little did I know, within 2 months, I think we broke even from our initial investment and it was just exploding. And this America tank top, it was right before summer that we launched. I found these cute little tank tops back when American Apparel was still, you know, kind of cruising on its own. Started printing these, and I tell you what, it just completely took off. And yeah, the moms everywhere were just kind of loving what we were doing. We were one of the first t-shirt screen printing shops on Etsy, so I think that also really helped us kind of catapult. And from there, I mean, things just kind of went crazy. That very first year, I can't even remember how many we sold of these, but we sold so many kids shirts that we started making adult tank tops as well. Moms wanted the mommy and me matching look. And it was honestly, I think I was selling clothing before I even actually knew how to screen print. I was like learning, watching YouTube videos before I was even shipping out my product. So learned very quickly how to run a business. And within that very next year, a dear friend of mine called me on the phone. She said, I had no idea SandiLake was this big already. Your shirts in Target, you know, how did you get like that license? Like, how did that work? And I was kind of shocked. I was like, well, I didn't sell to Target. But I was like, oh, you know, it can't be my shirt. You know, there's no way, I'm too small. There's no way they'd even find it enough to, you know, mimic it. And so I run in the morning before my kids go to school to Target, and right there in the front of the women's, you know, graphic t-shirt department is my adult version of this, because at this point I had sold a ton of this design. So black women's razorback tank top, this white America design, spot on the same graphic. And so I had my version of the tank top on, and I had the tank top on the hanger, and I asked a random customer if she could take a picture of me, which I think she thought I was crazy. But she took this picture, and at this point, you know, social media had really fueled my brand, and we only had about 6,000 followers though. Back then it seemed like a lot more. But I posted it on there, and right away I had this immediate kind of flourish of comments and people just advocating for me, buying the shirt on my website, but also just saying like, hey, I can't believe this, Target, how could you do this? And then it quickly got picked up in the local news, and which then got picked up to national news. And then 2 days later, I was live, like FaceTiming with Matt Lauer back when he was still on the Today Show. And I mean, it blew up. So that's kind of the initial, like, why this has to be the most memorable print I've ever printed. You know, because SandiLake went on to do a lot of amazing things post this initial blow up, but it was my first, you know, toe tip into what, you know, getting a copyright on your designs actually means, and, you know, owning your intellectual property And I had to quickly get this crash course in kind of lawyer's fees, hiring a lawyer, all of this stuff. And I mean, it was a whirlwind for sure. But
So what did Target apologize? Did they give you money? Did they take the shirt down? What happened?
so yeah, right after I got on the Today Show, and it kind of they were kind of labeling it like stay-at-home mom who makes clothes in her garage versus Target, which I want to be very clear. I never expected it to blow up like that. I still, my design is very simple. It's, a lot of people do patriotic type, items. But I think that, the community of makers wanted this to be heard because it's happened to so many other people. So when I was on the Today Show, I think even Al Roker was like, Target should hire you, or buy all these shirts or whatever. And immediately I got a public response from Target saying that they would take out every piece of products that they had in their store, and they would no longer sell it. And so then I have all my wonderful, amazing customers going into all the Targets and trying to purchase the shirt and seeing if they would allow us to or not. And sure enough, that every person at the check stand would say, oh, sorry, we actually can't sell this to you now. Target totally, did what they were, going to say, which then led into multiple lawyer discussions, because there's actually a company that makes shirts for these large box stores, obviously. And that company in LA, and I ended up having to have a discussion. Turns out they found my design on Pinterest, and the designer there, one of their many designers, actually admitted to copying the design. And so it made me feel a little bit better. It just was this confirmation that was like, okay, they did take it on purpose. And ironically, they ended up offering me a job in their design team. I was like, no, thank you. I don't want to work for a company that, copied from me. But, they took all the shirts out of it. And in the meantime, my brand is just blowing up because it got even international attention. And so I think at that point, I had to hire out another contract printer that's also local. So I kept it in the Portland bubble. I'm ordering as many tank tops as I can, and they're making as fast. I had my whole dining room full of, family members and friends packaging these shirts, and trying to get them out. And I had this great brand already built, and I wanted to keep my standards of, hey, we'll get your shirt out to you right away, and it'll be a great print. And so we just had this huge explosion. And honestly, it's funny, people are like, oh, I bet you never shop at Target again. I still love Target. Are you kidding me? I had babies in diapers at this point. I'm still going to Target and buying diapers. I think they did the right thing, but I think it was this beautiful, it just publicized the fact that there's so many makers making awesome things. They're just trying to, kind of make their mark, sell on Etsy, lots of print shops make their own stuff. And it's really easy for these big box stores to pick them up and get them in their stores without really knowing it. And I think it was just this awesome platform for people to know that they should protect their work, is because the lesson learned, if I had a copyright on that design, I actually would have had a leg to stand on as far as, getting paid or whatnot for a license for my design. And I didn't at that time. And so rough learning lesson, by the way, but.
So for those of the people that are watching, so if to get a copyright, Mel, what did you learn that everybody should be doing?
Yeah, so I think the great lesson is that if you have a design that you love or are going to sell, it does not cost a lot. I'll tell you how in a minute how you can get a copyright on each and every design. But I didn't think my design was going to go viral or someone would copy it either. Very simple, but it can happen to you. So what I always suggest, you go to copyright.org, you make yourself an account. It's very simple to apply for a copyright on your design. I always suggest that people actually show an image of their graphic separate, like the vector image, and then on what you're going to sell it, because I've been denied for copyrights before because I think the Copyright Office doesn't know what you're going to do with it. They don't want to give you the copyright if it could go anywhere. So you want to be very specific with how you're selling it. So like on mine, I do a graphic of it plain, and then an image of it actually on like a black tank top or a black t-shirt or whatever I'm going to sell it on. And you submit it. I think the prices have changed a little bit, but it used to be $30 a design. I think you can pay 50 and do a booklet of a bunch of your designs. And I ended up actually doing that for a bunch, like retroactively doing, I mean, I had over 100 designs on my website. So, but yeah, sometimes they'll say, hey, no, you know, that's really similar to something else, or you'll receive your certificate in the mail. And then anyone you find from that point on that has your design, you can send a cease and desist to. And I know a lot of people might come back and say, hey, there's some rules that are, it's 10% different than your design and blah, 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 whatever. If you have a copyright, you will win any battle in a cease and desist with somebody that is copying you. So just do it and protect your art and protect your business, because that's really what it comes down to. So.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I love those tips. So thank you so much, Mel.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I think it's really fun to, talk about the one thing. There's so many people printing awesome, amazing graphics, and it's really fun for me to talk about the one, you know, thinking back to the one that really like made its mark on me and really changed the trajectory of, I mean, when I started this brand, I didn't know I would be going into the print world. Now I'm fully submerged into this crazy, you know, print community. Because after Target happened and whatnot, I actually had the opportunity to go on Shark Tank the following year. And this shirt was one of the ones featured on the program. And it was amazing. They offered me a deal. I didn't end up taking it, but it was an amazing experience. I learned a ton about business and where I was going to move forward and how to distribute better and all of those things, how to grow properly. And after I kind of did that for a few years, opened my own storefront, obviously having the America shirt is kind of our big, you know, claim to fame. People loved it. I ended up deciding that after helping create Allmade Apparel, which is a t-shirt company made out of recycled water bottles, after kind of helping start that company, I thought, I'm going to let somebody else take over SandiLake, make it grow, and they can love it the way they want to love it. And then I kind of moved on to making sustainable apparel, because that's kind of more where my heart is. And so I feel incredibly lucky that literally this one shirt, you know, kind of changed the entire path of my career. And so it's awesome.
That's awesome. So who's your favorite shark?
Oh, well, I really love Mark Cuban because he high-fived my daughter. My two daughters came on the show with me, and he was just so sweet and high-fived her, and actually ended up giving me incredible advice, which I found more valuable than getting a deal at that point. And then Barbara's the one that offered me a deal, and she was a little with me. She said, answer me now or I'm out, and did the whole, like, you know, angry thing. And I don't really like it at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, oh, she's pretty like cool. She actually like believed in the brand and stuff. So I have no regrets about my decisions by any means, but I don't know. They were all really amazing and super positive. Oh, except oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank?
Mr. Wonderful Kevin?
Yes, Kevin Miller. Yes, so he was kind of a jerk to me.
Well, he's that way with everyone. You know,
yeah,
it's all drama TV anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But it was actually really funny. Little side story. Before the episode airs, you get to go out and kind of look at your display and make sure it's right. And then you go back in and then you do like the walk out the doors and do your big presentation, which, by the way, it is all live. There's no edit. Oh, they edit it for TV, but like there's no go back and do your thing again. Like it's all one shot. And I think I was out there talking to them for about 15 minutes. So they cut it down to, I think, 10 minutes for my portion of the episode. But Kevin O'Leary was actually standing right where I was supposed to kind of go look at my display. And he had this like really cool 360-degree camera that he was holding. And he asked me to like look down at it and get in the picture, totally took a picture of me. And I was told I wasn't allowed to converse with them, but he conversed with me. So I was like, hey, Kevin, if you're going to take a picture of me, you better offer me a deal when I'm up. And he was like, oh, and like went and sat back down. He definitely did not offer me a deal, but it was still a great experience. And I feel really lucky that apparel is a part of that kind of scene, because I feel like it's kind of more for inventors and cool products. But I mean, the retail market is huge and there's people inventing awesome, rad stuff all the time. And so I felt really special. I got to be a part of it.
Awesome. So thanks, Mel. So if someone wants to learn how to get a hold of you or to learn more about what you do, how can they do that?
Yeah, so SandiLake Clothing is definitely still a brand. I'm great friends with the owner of it. She's amazing, still hand printing everything. So that's sandylakeclothing.com if you do want to get one of these iconic tank tops. But currently, if you want to get a hold of me and reach out about anything apparel or my new sustainable apparel line, Allmade Apparel, just email me at mel@allmade.com. You can also check me out on Instagram at Mrs. Mel Lay, or check out at Allmade Apparel. And yeah, come follow along on this crazy journey making sustainable apparel. And we feature rad prints and print shops all the time. So it's just amazing what we get to do. So that would be where you find me.
Great. That's fantastic. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for watching this episode of the best t-shirt I ever printed. For more content like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.